I wish to compliment Srimati Leela Lakshmareddy Garu, because of their initiative. CGR, Council for Green Revolution, came into being, and not satisfied with that, they launched GRACE. GRACE is Greens Alliance for Conservation of Extreme Ghats, under the leadership of R. Dilip Reddy Garu. And now the visionary team has come up with a center for Earth studies. It is known as the Earth Center. And this center, in the days to come, it's going to play a very, very important role in promoting personalities to develop and evolve and metamorphosize themselves into being Earth leaders. We are all gathered here today to observe a day for the planet Earth. There's nothing like a celebration in this. The problem is very serious, as everybody knows. I've been following David Attenborough for the last maybe 30 years. And now, in his witness statement at the age of 95, after having worked for 70 years on the subject of biodiversity, wildlife, wilderness areas, and reporting to the world, I feel so sad when I went through the witness statement. Today, we are all face to face before extinction. Maybe this is going to be the sixth mass extinction. The problem is very serious. Already, United Nations reports, there's UN sponsored reports like the World Commission on Environment and Development. They had identified the depletion of the ozone layer, global warming, loss of biodiversity, spreading desertization, and the danger posed by nuclear reactors and nuclear bombs. But having said that, the report also focuses on the ways and means of decarbonizing the planet Earth, because the problem is basically due to the increasing accumulation of CO2 and other dangerous gases in the atmosphere. So, while speaking about decarbonization, the report very clearly talks about sustainable development. So, what is sustainable development? I am not going into the details, but suffice it to constantly remind ourselves that we are not the last generation to live on this planet Earth, and life has to continue. Now, having said this, this report was followed by a prescription which evolved from Rio Conference, Agenda 21, subsequently Millennium Development Goals and Sustainable Development Goals. And in addition to this, thanks to Rio, conferences of parties were scheduled on the subject of climate change and for protection of biodiversity. So the world has witnessed innumerable conferences. So, we can call it as synergy for sustainability. That is, intellectuals, activists, global thinkers coming together, and they all came together to evolve an action plan and trying to save the planet Earth. Today, United Nations is appealing to the nations of the world to go in for a decade of ecosystem restoration. It is compelled to speak on this because every ecosystem in the world is collapsing. And this is a very serious issue. As we are speaking today, right now, I saw on the TV just now that in the Himalayas, the snow that is falling there is turning into black. They are worried because what is the reason? The air pollution over the Himalayas is so critical now that even it is affecting changes in the snowfall. We have seen so many disasters manifesting in the Himalayan region. And here we are not saying it is the fault of just India, but a very important ecosystem like the Himalayas, which is surrounded by so many countries, and one of them is a huge superpower. China. The world's largest democracy is India. And in between, we have another half a dozen countries. Or we have Pakistan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Nepal, and so on. United Nations should have taken the initiative to ensure that very sensitive ecosystems be included in the United Nations Trusteeship Council. We cannot leave it to individual nation states. The UN, having come out with wonderful reports, it is also its duty to ensure that the hundreds of multilateral environmental agreements that have been entered into between the nations of the world, and also the major agreements that have been entered into at Stockholm, Rio, Paris, etc. It is the duty of the UN to come up with institutions to ensure the compliance of these global protocols. And that is where we are suggesting that UN, United Nations in this present form, it is not capable of protecting the planet Earth. They have that, concern is there. Their intellectual activity is there, but that is not sufficient. Therefore, we are proposing changes in the United Nations itself. The Security Council should be structured in such a way that environmental issues become the major concern of its deliberations. In addition to this, we must have a global environmental court. We must have a UN, a global environmental organization. And the trusteeship should be so expanded that every ecosystem, like the North Pole, South Pole, the Himalayas, the sensitive Amazon, and the oceans, everything is taken care of. Otherwise, there is no point in simply saying or telling the nations of the world, you take action to protect your ecosystems. The action should begin at the global level. Nations have to follow, and we citizens, instead of simply lamenting on or just trying to find fault that you are not doing. In fact, we need to realize and we need to do what is expected of us. Fundamental duties in India, they prescribe Article 51A very clearly emphasizes that citizens have a very major role. In fact, for the benefit of the citizens, I wish to point them that a citizen in India is a constitutional authority. This point has never been properly emphasized. As a professor of political science, I know, having taught this subject, the very first sentence of the Constitution of India says, yes, it is we, the people of India. When we say we are the creators of all the institutions in this country, therefore, we are a constitutional authority. There is a place for the citizen in the constitution. But then the citizens in this country, they suffer from inferiority and they think, Hamare haath mein kya hai? I mean, that kind of a thing is not going to help. The citizens have to become proactive and they need to be very clear in order to bring about the change they wish to. Friends, we are all inspired by the life and teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. In fact, his very most important quotation is that there is enough in nature to meet the needs of all, but not sufficient to satisfy the greed of the few. Today, it is the few who are dictating the terms. The few corporates in every country, they are controlling the politics and the executive, and they are dictating everything. As a result, it is we, the people in every country, we are at the receiving end. And therefore, this has to be rectified. And on this occasion, the citizens of the world living in different countries, we need to come together, learn to make a common cause. And if we have to restore the damaged ecosystems, then we need to change the politics of every country, because unless we have environment friendly leadership, environment friendly policies, and unless we create conditions where every order of the Supreme Court is complied with, for that, the most important thing is that we, the people, should become vigilant. Thank you very much, sir.